You see, unlike certain people who wear this hat, including Donald Trump himself, who I still support, I support Curtis Sliwa because he's the only hope for this city. Mamdani is a bum.
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feast and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring. And George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk a doubter, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit right there. That looks like a good place to sit. You're watching the MC Too Tall show with your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host that is never gross, MC Too Tall. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Democrats, of course, and how they must be stopped. But before I get into that, let's talk about this fun for the whole family kind of event where I will be shouting obscenities at an adoring crowd and calling it song lyrics. At the Yoa Club, it might appear in your Googles there as SC Yoa. The address is 850 62nd Street, and this all takes place tomorrow, Sunday, October 12th, 2025, starting at noon. I'll be appearing right around 3-ish, but it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful event. Bands that'll be appearing there will include the Good Yags, Black Death. One of my favorite bands of all time, of course, is Black Death. It's an event that was put together by my good friend Brian Dillon. Great guy, that Brian. Great guy, I tell you. I've known him for many, many years. 2006 is a long time ago. That's a good 19 years. That's nearly 2 decades that I've known this man. And he's opened a lot of doors for me, as did the late, great Fran Powers and my other friend Jonesy, founder and frontman of the Bloody Muffs. Don't know where to find him these days. Hope he could show up there, but I know Vlad will be there. Vlad, who also opened a few doors for me, allowing me to make my first appearance at Vladapalooza 2. I was there as a spectator for Vladapalooza 1, and there I was, Vladapaloozas 2 through 4, appearing as MC Too Tall. And such good times at the old Freddy's back when it was over on Dean Street. But we're going to rekindle all of that. We're going to respark all of that when I join forces with Vlad and Black Death at the Yoa Club, 850 62nd Street. And look at them. They're just really nice people. And you're going to have a good time. You're going to enjoy yourself. You could bring food if you like. Everybody brings a little food. It's like a customary thing. There's no pressure to do that, but you are encouraged to do that because it's just like a nice communal family kind of thing to do. So it's suggested, even encouraged. So if you can, do it. If not, just come down, bring yourself, and have a grand old time. 850 62nd Street. Tomorrow, October 12th, starting at 12 noon. Now let's get into these Democrats. From Hakeem Jeffries to Katie Porter to Jay Jones, that son of a bitch bastard that wants to put two to the head of a political opponent. And this is the climate they bring. All political violence comes from the left. Crime runs rampant because of the Democrats. Pedophilia runs wild because of the Democrats. And that's what you have. Everything left of center has been taken over by the fanatical, woke, socialist wing of the Democrat Party. They're sickos, I tell you. These are people that can't tell the difference between a man or a woman and have no remorse for a person who violently dies before a massive crowd because of their assumed political affiliation. Twee on them for that. And these are monsters. And there's a monster, a socialist intifada monster running for mayor of New York City. And everybody's saying, well, they have to get a strong ticket of Cuomo and Sliwa together. No. Cuomo just needs to drop out. Cuomo is a clown. And I had mentioned this only to find out that Sliwa also mentioned this, that Mamdani handed Andrew Cuomo his ass in the primaries. What's gonna make him so big and strong and super powerful to take on Mamdani now? What happened since? Where did he get the superpowers to defeat Mamdani now? The only one capable of defeating Mamdani and Cuomo is our boy Curtis Sliwa. And let me say this again. I've said this in several broadcasts before. I'll say it again. Back in 1979, when this city back then was running rampant because of the Democrats, we had a Democrat governor, Hugh Carey, Democrat mayor, Ed Koch, cutting the budget, cutting the police budget, cutting the transit cops budget, thus making the streets unsafe. One guy working in a McDonald's as a manager, overseeing the flipping of burgers in one of the bad parts of town, way up there in the Bronx. He saw the crime in these streets, fights that he had to break up in his McDonald's restaurant because of the Democrats and the low morale in the police department. And he decided not to run for DA or AG. He wasn't the mayor. He wasn't even a cop. He decided to just start his own crime-fighting task force, take to the streets among 12 men, unarmed, and make citizens arrests, stop crime in its tracks, and granted, in the beginning was met with some resistance. People were calling him a vigilante and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But once they knew Curtis was on the up and up, and the group that he formed, which would later be known as the Guardian Angels, they started warming up to him and accepting him and understanding what he was about. And this started in 1979. when Andrew Cuomo was a snot-nosed kid at Fordham U, and Zohran Mamdani wasn't even born yet, and wouldn't be born until decades later in a foreign land. So you have this man born decades later in a foreign land coming here telling us how to run things here in New York, giving no thought for public safety. His solution to public safety is to send social workers in an atmosphere where domestic violence is taking place. You know, in a lot of cases in domestic violence, some cases the wife is the aggressor, but most cases, let's face it, the husband is the aggressor, and he's smacking the wife around, calling her all kinds of B words and stuff, choking her out, slamming her head against kitchen cabinets. Vicious, violent stuff these men do to the women they supposedly love because they're afraid of losing them for whatever reason. Something to do with their ego. They're mentally ill. And you have to send on police officers in there. And you don't want to neutralize these people, but if it's to save the life of the spouse, you got to do what you got to do. You can't send a social worker in there with a clipboard so he could take part in getting his ass whooped, too. You just can't do that. And I've seen some footage in Canton, Ohio, where they sent a social worker to break up some gang violence, and the members of both gangs, a bunch of youth, not one of them looked like they were 18 or older, but they were both from rival gangs that unified in beating the flying fuck out of the social worker. And they sent, not some diesel guy. They didn't send Lou Ferrigno there with a clipboard. They sent some dweeby-looking guy, slightly bald on the head, Coke bottle glasses, dressed business casual, with the clipboard, of course, and they just handed this poor bastard's ass to him. And that's what Zohran Mamdani wants to bring to the streets of New York and to the subways of New York, where a woman and her infant son were threatened to be killed by Jordan Neely. Let me tell you something. There'd be no Daniel Penny incident if we had more beefed up police in our police department. And you call this an act of vigilantism? I call it an act of saving lives, because not only did Daniel Penny save the life of that woman and her infant son in the stroller, he saved the lives of everyone in that train car. And it was not intended for Jordan Neely to die from complexities of long-term drug use, but that's how it ended up. And Daniel Penny was nearly a year, branded a criminal. We live in a state where a person like Dexter Taylor, who is merely 3D printing gun components for his own personal collection, not for sale or use for other people, but for his own personal collection, sitting in jail now at Rikers for a proposed 10 years. He's appealing it. I hope he gets sprung on appeal, because this is a constitutional issue in which his day in court, his defense was not allowed to bring up the Second Amendment. That judge, I forget the judge's name, he was a nasty woman. A nasty, nasty woman. She said the Second Amendment does not exist in this courtroom. She should be disbarred and put behind bars for that. She abused her power. She should be in jail for that. And this is what we have with the Democrats. This is the face of the Democrat Party. As I said, this is no longer that nice party of people who stick up for the working class. It's not your Walter Mondales, your Hubert Humphreys, or Edmund Muskies. Hell, it's not even your Jimmy Carters. We've gone even more sick than Bill Clinton, who was no prize package either. One of the masterminds behind Pizzagate, along with his wife, Hillary. But this isn't even that. The Democratic Party has gotten even sicker, if you could believe that, with snake in the grass, spineless former Republicans like John Bolton on their side. Slithering, go along to get along for their own survival type people like former AG Bill Barr. Sidewinding, jump from one side to the other for the rest of their life. People like Mike Pompeo and Mike Bloomberg. They change parties as often as I change my underwear, I tell you. And we got to watch out for people like that as well. Write off the Democrats. Just write them completely off. Don't consider ever voting Democrat again. Don't consider voting for anything left of center for the rest of your life. But also, diligently vet your Republicans that are running for office. That's why I'm voting for Curtis Sliwa. Because this is a person that walks the walk. To quote the Migos, walk it like I talk it. And that's what Curtis Sliwa does. Okay? He's trying to correct a city where we lock up toothpaste, but we don't lock up criminals. And he goes into neighborhoods where the only Republican they ever see is Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill. And where is Cuomo throughout all this? He's out there smacking fannies and killing grannies. Which, I just gave you my 3 favorite Sliwa quotes there. And where's the lie in them? Where is the lie in them? Andrew Cuomo has the goal to run for mayor. And he's a disgraced governor because of sleazy sexual misconduct. But that is the history of the Democratic Party, bowing out in shame due to sleazy sexual misconduct. Al Franken, sorry, don't want to mispronounce that man's name, that sleazy pervert. Elliot Spitzer, Anthony Weiner, of course, showing off his wiener to 14-year-old girls via text messaging. You could go back decades ago with the Gary Hart, Donna Rice scandal. You could go back maybe 20 years ago with John Edwards. You could fast forward it all the way to now, where one of the Democrats running for governor, a former governor running for the city of Jersey City, Jim McGreevey, another governor that had to bow out in disgrace due to some oddball, sick sexual misconduct. And over here in New York, we got Andrew Cuomo, who's got the gall to run for mayor when he couldn't hack it as governor. And he couldn't even hack it as the Democratic mayoral nomination because Zohran Mamdani smacked him around like nobody's bitch. And as I said, and as Curtis said, where did he get the superpowers that he could suddenly beat Mamdani now? He did not, I tell you. There are no superpowers in Andrew Cuomo, unless you want to call smacking fannies and killing grannies superpowers. So here we are. I'm going with Curtis Sliwa because this is a person who's dedicated his life from 1979 all the way up until now to fighting crime. From the bureaucrats to the street thugs to even high-profile mob figures. Yes, these different types of criminals despise Curtis Sliwa. But that's exactly who you want as mayor because he will keep our streets and subways safe. Just like another great mayor once did long, long ago. His name was Rudolph Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani recently joined the likes of our great former governor George Pataki in endorsing Curtis Sliwa. And I was already set to endorse Curtis Sliwa. It was just a matter of him announcing his candidacy. And as soon as he did, boom, right away. Didn't even have to look at the other candidates, just gave my endorsement because I know what Curtis Sliwa is about. This is a man who loves God and country, and he loves cats. Did you know he's also running on an independent ticket called Save the Animals? So if you're leery about voting for a Republican, vote for the Save the Animals candidate, Curtis Sliwa, then. The basement of City Hall will become a pet sanctuary. You gotta love that. All the shelters throughout New York City, controlled by the city, will instantly become no-kill shelters. And this is a good thing. All furry family members will be saved by Curtis Sliwa. And let me tell you something, that is doing God's work, I tell you. To help and save nature and animals, that is God's work. So on to the I say respect God, watch out for the Illuminati, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, stay strong, keep kicking that slang. Hiss your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, MC Too Tall. Be good.